Bob, you've said weekly that you're going to see second halves, fourth quarters of games. Obviously, you saw a really tight one Saturday. Before you get into specifics, just what did you feel on the sidelines? How did you feel like the team reacted in tight spots late?
Yeah, I thought everybody, from the players, coaches, staff, nobody panicked. And obviously, Harvard did a great job getting stops in the second and, early portions of the third quarter. And I just keep remembering Fasadi and Tom Johnson coming into the defensive huddle. If they don't score, they can't win. And it was this great attitude and this uplifting attitude that was coming from the players, coming from our leaders. And it really, really showed that when we got into some fringe red zone moments, nobody panicked. They just kept playing football and, made enough plays for us to win.
Not only were those two terrific leaders, but I thought, it was the first game all season that it felt like there was a pretty even battle on the lines. I mean, Harvard's offensive line didn't really let your line dominate as much as it did the first 5 weeks. And that was the game where you knew Johnson and Fasadi and Tyler, those linebackers would have to have a really big role, and I thought they were huge.
Yeah, they did a terrific job, and it was exactly how I expected. Harvard has a senior dominated. They're always good up front. They have terrific backs. All the things we talked about, this was going to be a battle, and it was play to play. It was an all-out fight, and fortunately we came out on the right side.
We've seen box scores that were even more impressive by Jesper Horsted, but I think if you're going to show an NFL team a tape of what that kid is as a football player, that's the one. When you needed big catches, man, he came up with them.
Yeah, you must be bugging my phones because one of my college teammates and good friends and fellow centers, Dave Boshin, we were on the phone this morning, and he said that. He goes, if the NFL teams want to watch a game, it's that one, because he was challenged every play, and it wasn't the ideal conditions. We don't play in domes, and that's what it's going to be like in October, November, in the fall in the Northeast. And he just kept coming up with big play after big play and crunch time moments. And, John has a lot of confidence that if he gets the ball up high, that Jesper is going to have a chance to win those.
You had the big fourth quarter against Harvard. Now you face a team that also has had a big fourth quarter against Harvard this season. A Cornell team that comes into this week having won 3 of 4, and 2 of their 3 losses so far this season have come at Delaware and at Colgate, who's still undefeated right now. A loaded schedule, and this team looks like it's really peaking right now.
Yeah, they've been battle tested, and they are a senior group. When you look at their offensive line, 4 seniors. I think 17 of their 22 starters were coming back from last year. Senior quarterback who's playing well, throwing the ball accurately. He is a big physical presence in the run game. Their tailback Coles is just running the ball and just so graceful, but then he gets the tough yards and breaks tackles. And defensively, it's the same group we faced off against last year that gave us fits, and they are just a big, strong, physical group, and it's going to be another one of these fights that is going to be a terrific game.
Coles in particular is an interesting player because I thought in Champlin you saw maybe the fastest running back in the league. Coles is one of the toughest. I mean, he can run inside the tackles, but if you give him space outside, I mean, he's got some deceptive speed as well as being one of the toughest runners, and this is a team that does not give the ball away.
Yeah, they haven't fumbled once this year or lost a fumble once this year. He also has great hands, and they do a great job getting the ball in space in the pass game, and it's a really terrific scheme in how they're utilizing their guys, and they'll bring in some wildcat quarterbacks. If 12's playing, he'll come in and provide a presence as a kind of Lovett type where he throws the ball well, but he also can run it, and they're giving you a lot of different looks, a lot of different personnel groups, and at their heart is big offensive line and 2 big tight ends that set edges, and very, very similar to our group of tight ends in fullback that way.
Defensively, you look at what they did a couple weeks ago against Harvard, and then even last week against Brown, a little bit of a slow start. But when they've needed to shut teams down to allow the offense to come back, they shut out Harvard in the fourth quarter. They shut out Brown after, I believe, the first quarter. they seem like they can hit a pretty dominant level.
Yeah, and you know, I've talked about their front seven, and you know, their secondary doesn't get as much hype that way, but their corners, lockdown receivers, their safeties are terrific against the run and pass. They're coming up in run situations, making tackles, just like Harvard did when plays are perfectly blocked at 3 and 4 yards, but then they're good enough to play and defend the deep balls. And it's a really well-rounded defense, and it's experienced guys are doing a lot of different things with them, getting in and out and stemming to different fronts, and they present tons of challenges with what they're doing. And again, just like last week, the heart of it is two big, strong defensive tackles that play great with their leverage and hands, and their inside backers, two big guys that run from sideline to sideline. So they've done very well.
The fact that you're facing another big defensive line, does it help coming off a game like Harvard where they also have that big front to kind of, see areas where, all right, this is where we need to improve this week?
Yeah, in some ways, I guess. I mean, every defense is different. They play a different style of defense than Harvard in what they're doing. But yeah, in terms of the physicality of it, these guys are every bit as physical, if not more physical. And one of the reasons they won that game was because of their size, strength, and ability to wear out teams that way.